Hello one and all, welcome to Classics on the Shoestring. Back down the garage today, working on my mate's Yamaha 125. We're going to change the front wheel, put a complete new brake disc on, and his reservoir is leaking, so he's picked up a second-hand one that supposedly had a new seal kit put in it. So we're gonna swap all that over, try and bleed the brakes and see how we go from there. We're not actually changing the caliper, but we're going to put new brake pads in and a new line down to the banjo bolt. From there up, I say new, it's a second-hand one that's already on the new reservoir. For starters, if you unbolt the lever, we'll remove the lever because obviously these are aftermarket relievers, so pull that off first and then we can get to unbolting the rest of it. Your bike, you can do it. Hey, get this dust cap off. These are always a bloody nightmare and I'm always worried they're going to snap. I'm going to give it a few gentle taps. If it doesn't move, I'm going to have to heat it up, try and crack off anything that's in there. So just give it a couple of taps. Oh, there it goes. Sweet. There's no fluid in it because it's all drained out. Oh, there is a little bit. Right, well that's cracked off and loose. I'll clean that up in a minute. That means the banjo bolt line's going to be full of water. Right, we're going to start stripping this down. Obviously the caliper's staying on, this hose is being removed, so I've got to unbolt this one to release the bracket. Up underneath here, my hands in the way, undo these two bolts to release the pipe from the bottom yoke, and then it's a case of cracking off the top. So let's get that all disassembled and we'll come back. Out, which is literally just the bolt that undoes and the lever pulls out. I've just worked the cover back for the brake switch and literally just take a, I don't think it really matters, but just take a rough look at what way round they go on before you pull them off. Bloody hell, they weren't hardly on there. So that's that. Now and this then should drop off. We've now removed the two bolts. Oh well, we've cracked them off, they've now got to be removed. We'll then remove this. I'm going to attempt to crack off this banjo nut, hopefully that'll come undone. We've already removed these little split pins from the brake retainers. Right, undone the banjo bolt, removed that, removed the two little copper washers. You should always replace them with new ones where you can because they crush when you do it up. Just stuck a little bit of blue towel in there so when we're undoing all this lot, no gunk or junk rubbish gets into the hole. When you undo this and you undo that one, go to the top and work out the routing of it for when you pull it out, so then when you put the new one in you can route it down the same way. Don't know why this lot is also loose. We'll have to cable tie that up somewhere. So we're now going to attempt to undo the top and pull the whole thing out. Got a tray to catch any excess fluid, but as you can see there was really no fluid in there. That's why we're changing it. It just keeps leaking from the top. Okay, we're going to undo these two now. So like I say, everything else is undone. This can stay attached, we don't need that. This one, the Allen key fits lovely. This one is a bit of a knot, don't seem to fit. So I'm going to have to see if that's a smaller Allen key or it's just been chewed up. But this is definitely why it needed changing. There's so much gunk in there. You should change your brake fluid every couple of years because it degrades in the pots and you end up with stuff like that in there. So every now and again do a complete fluid change, but we're going to try and get this undone. No, that's way too small. Right, put the camera down, tackle getting this off. Okay, what I had to do was get my little toffee hammer, line it up, give it a tap in because it was really burred over, but managed to tap it in, managed to get it undone. Now got to get the Allen key off the bolt. Spot the difference. This is I think a 2010, which is the one that's just come off the bike. This is a 2014, it turns out, so it's different. Everything else is identical apart from the brake switch. This brake switch picks up off the back of the lever. This brake switch should have a extra part on the lever, so when it's fitted it should have a bar on it that comes down to hold the switch in, but because it's a different model it don't have it. So we're going to fit this one for now, so the bike's all done. He's decided that he's going to buy a newer lever to replace this one so the brake light switch will work. He's currently not using the bike, so it's not an issue, but we're going to bang it all back together using this newer system, and then we'll have to finish off the video when he gets a new lever, and that will just be a case of unbolting this, swapping the levers over. Like I say, we're going to crack on with swapping the wheel and all that over. So release the pinch bolt for the wheel. We've already cracked these off. We'll take the wheel out, change the wheel, change the brake pads, put all this back together, then I'll refit the brake line and the master cylinder. Wheels out. We now get the pads out. Like I say, you remove the two retaining pins which allow you to pull that pin out, and as you can see the pads have just dropped out, but that's because the wheel's not in there. So we'll sort that in a minute. Decided to take the caliper right off, going to give it a clean up. Literally undo the two 13mm bolts, this drops right off, but it's so dirty and gunked up in there I thought I'd take it off, give it a clean. We're as far as putting the new wheel on with the new disc. Again, that is just the reverse of taking it off. Tighten that up, don't know what the torque settings are, so I've just tightened it up tight, then retightened the pinch bolt. So that's on. Now we're going to put the brake pads in and reattach all the brake line. Had a bit of a nightmare trying to fit the pads with just flipping it over because it hits the wheel. So what I done was I unbolted the two bolts, took the caliper bracket off, inserted all the pads, put the clips in, reseated them all, bolted this back through to the caliper mount, slotted it over the disc, ran it round and re-bolted it up through there. That's the only way I could get the brake pads to go over onto the disc. Now time to put the two new copper washers and the bolt for the banjo back in. Once that's all tightened and snugged up, we can go tighten that up and tighten the two bolts up that are in there, and then we'll get on to bleeding it all. Now bolted back the banjo bolt back in, tighten that up. Gonna now go up to here, put the wrong lever on it so we can just bleed the brakes. When the new lever turns up, we'll swap it over but that's just going to go on there so that we can bleed the brakes for today, and then that'll be pretty much done. Everything else is tightened up, buttoned up. Just need to get on with this now. We've hit another snag. The rest of the bike is back together, the wheels on, brake pads are in, everything's connected up, but as I said before in the video, this is a master cylinder off of a 2014 model. This is a 2010 model, hence it's different. Literally, the lever from the other bike I knew wasn't going to fit, but it doesn't even give me enough positioning to bleed the brakes properly. Plus I need to change these two wires to fit up on to the brake switch. So for now I'm just going to put the cap back on, tighten everything up down at the bleed nipple and call it a day. He has ordered a new brake lever to fit this reservoir, and it should still match the other side, and until that turns up and I fit it, I'm not doing no more today. Once I know that fits and it's right, we'll get on and bleed the brakes. When you're ordering parts for your bike, make sure they're the right ones and they fit. Don't always go by the photos you see on websites and auction sites. They don't always marry what parts you're getting. You really need to make sure you're getting the right part for the right year of bike. With the right lever, we can probably make this work and go from there. But that is it for now. Next video on this bike hopefully will be fitting the new lever and bleeding the brakes off. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video. Stay safe everybody.